Can you tell me a bit about yourself and your background?
Absolutely. So I'm Yvette Velez. I use she, her pronouns. My title is Associate Director for Community Partnerships at the Center for Community Engagement. I've been working in higher education for over 20 years, and I've actually been working at Suffolk for over 20 years. I define myself as a first generation college student. I am Mexican American, and typically for true colors, if you know true colors, I'm a blue and gold. So I'm a pretty emotional person. I'm very organized, and I like to show a lot of appreciation to my colleagues and my students. So that's a little bit about me.
How has your gender identity affected your career, and in positive and or negative ways?
Yeah, I think, I really came into higher education first and foremost as a woman. I felt like the profession is super welcoming. I think as someone who is very high on the empathy scale, I feel everything, the career path that I've chosen really was created in part by the identities that I hold. And one of them, obviously, my being a woman. And higher ed is super welcoming, I feel. I chose not to go into corporate America, and I chose education to share my experiences. So I think all positive things.
Do you have any advice for women entering a male-dominated industry?
Fake it till you make it. I think, walk into the room with confidence, and if you feel that you are faltering, I oftentimes tell folks, create your mantra and walk in where you've worked hard and you've earned it, and walk in with your head held high, and never be afraid to ask questions. That's what I would
definitely
give.
How do we increase gender diversity in the workplace?
Well, I hope to lead by example, personally. I hope to encourage others to pursue what it is that they're interested in pursuing. And I think in higher ed, in particular, you look at the leadership positions. I remember many years ago, a couple of years ago, I had read something like 30% of college presidents are women, and that most of those presidents are at the community college level. And I see it around me, right? Most positions have been held by men. I think I'm at a wonderful institution, Suffolk University, and we're pretty unique, and most of our leadership positions are held by women, which is awesome. And I think when I see that, I feel empowered and inspired, and I would hope that others do too. And so as I move through my career, I hope that is what I'm offering and sharing to others as they're figuring out where it is that they are going to be fulfilled professionally.
What have you learned from your gender identity that has encouraged and empowered you to continue in your line of work?
That everything I do has an effect, and some type of impact. Especially in any role that I've held at the institution and in my job, small or large. I'm always inspired when students come back, alumni, and they reintroduce themselves or talk about an instance, an interaction that they've had with me. And so, I would say I'm encouraged and empowered when I think about that small impact that we have, or large impact that we have on our community.
And what importance do you place on Women's History Month?
It is pretty important, 100%. I think it's a bookmark, right? It's a a box that people absolutely need to remember exists. And some folks don't have that, don't have the privilege in their work in their life to maybe take the moment to really think about who's come before us and when and why. And so it's so important to recognize Women's History Month to make sure that we do that. And it also, again, reminds us, personally, right? I always need inspiration. I've just mentioned to you, right? Sometimes I fake it till I make it, and I need a mantra every now and then. And where do I get that, right? But from the people who've come before us, and so when you hear those stories, her stories and her history, it's really important. So 100%. At some point, right, taking part in Women's History Month, whether that's, reading a book you didn't read before, or attending a program, a lecture, or going to the art museum and looking at women artists. Unfortunately, we have to do that. We have to take the time out, because that does not, as we know, if the Me Too movement hasn't taught us anything, right? That doesn't always happen for us. So it's so important to have Women's History Month.
Can you name one highlight of your career that you deemed successful and how it shaped your career trajectory?
Absolutely. So I like to say I fell into higher ed. As a first-generation student, I didn't realize that you needed a degree to become an administrator at a college or institution. And when I started at Suffolk, I did not have a master's, and I eventually received my master's. So that was one of the first, I would say, markers in my career that really helped shape who I am and where I've gone in my professional path. I've held many jobs at Suffolk. I started as a recruiter. I worked in off-campus housing, and I'm now currently working in community engagement. And so my degree, 100%, right, led me down this path. And then in addition to that, as I've gone through my career, Suffolk has really given me the autonomy to grow programs and to help nurture students and encourage them to grow. And so I'm really proud of the work that I've accomplished. When I started here at Suffolk, enrollment, the incoming class was like 300 students, incoming first-year students. And now it's 1,200, right? So it's been amazing to see the institution grow, to see myself grow, again, professionally and personally at Suffolk. I'm really proud of everything that I've accomplished through over the past 20 years.
I read online that you obtained your certificate in graphic design from Suffolk in 2017. So what prompted you to get the certificate, and how has it added to your personal or professional life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did do art as an undergrad. I actually have an art degree. And I had thought originally, fully intended to go down either an art education path or an art therapy path. Again, I didn't realize I was going to go into higher ed and flourish as I have. To be perfectly honest and frank, I started that certificate program out of necessity. The university communications department at the time had decided that they couldn't help departments as much when it came to marketing events and whatnot to students. And I thought it was really important to share the students the message of programming and what was happening in my area in a clear and succinct way, right? Clip art wasn't going to cut it. And so that's really how that started. It started as a way to get more skills, to build my to build my resume, to fulfill part of my job, to make sure that I was doing the best that I could. And then it snowballed. I started taking more classes when I was like, well, I guess I'm getting the certificate program. And I've always enjoyed art. I enjoy sharing a message through design. Absolutely use all the skills I've learned, and I've created wonderful relationships with the art school. I continue to use those skills, both professionally and personally. We're going to have a service. The Center for Community Engagement is going to have a service day, and I've had to do the marketing for that and that program, and coming together to making sure that we're sharing that message again for everyone to see, and it's understood and clear. And then personally, I do have a website, YvetteVelez.com, and I just put my art out there, and it really helps me, especially now as we've gone through a pandemic, right? Ways that we can relax, and mental health, and one of the ways that I have been able to do that is through my art and the graphic design. Whether that's photography or the graphic design. I also paint and I do paper artwork. So yeah, it's really been a blessing to be part of to that experience. And I'm excited and happy that I've been able to share those skills.
I saw that you're on Suffolk Sustainability Committee. Why is sustainability important to you, and what advice do you give to students to incorporate sustainability practices into their daily lives?
Absolutely. So sustainability, I think everyone has to take part in working, Earth Day should not just be one day. And it doesn't take a lot of effort, I feel like, for folks to get engaged. I participated in the sustainability committee at Suffolk, really to help share that message of how Suffolk is a green campus. I remember at some point, I think folks realize, oh, everybody's throwing the trash all in the same barrel, and like there's the recycle bin next to it. And I think at some point, someone at Suffolk always has the experience of like, people don't even recycle here. And that's not the case. They have streamlined recycling. So they do separate it out. We absolutely 100% recycle. And so, being a member of the Suffolk community, I thought that was a really great way to get involved, to share what Suffolk does in regard to sustainability. And then in my own part, in my own life, it doesn't take a lot, right? I can appreciate Starbucks move in the future to getting reusable cups, and I myself do that now. So yeah, that's where the sustainability, where I continue to encourage other folks to, live their true, authentic selves, and even if in a small way, to help, make sure that, again, Earth Day is not just one day.
That's great. Thank you very, very much for your time and for participating in this interview.